Hey guys, and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. We just got through the update for 3.5, so why don't we check out to see what's new. So first off, what we can tell is they have updated the Traveler's Guide, which is the little book pamphlet within your menu. Basically, what they have done is for every Archon quest that you have completed, they give you one intertwined fate and a little something extra for everything. So you can go through and collect these all. So from what I can tell, there was at least 20 something wishes within this match, was actually really good, and I think it's a really cool thing that Miyoyo has done, or Hoyoverse, whatever, has done, which has allowed you to essentially collect wishes for doing the quest. It'd be interesting to see how do they handle new Archon quests. So this is interesting. So normally new Archon quest, you get like the Primo Gems along with the quest. So it's interesting to see that they haven't implemented this. But instead, I think maybe they're doing this book. And of course, the big update with this patch is the new 5-star Dehya, the Flame Main. And alongside her, we have Sino. And interesting enough, in terms of the trial event, we have Bennett. Interesting that they put Bennett here. He's been here since the very beginning of the game, but they didn't put Kale, who's also on their banner, but interesting enough. So yeah, the new Archon quest is here. There's character courses here, and we have a hangout for Faruzan. So here we are with the new banners. Of course, we have Dehya, which is a new limited 5-star, and we have Sino, who is rerunning. They are joined with Barbara, Cole, and Bennett. We're brief with the weapon banner. The two 5-star weapons, both Dehyas and Sinos, they're pretty dang good. In terms of the 4-stars, they're all kind of. I think Dragon's Bane, the polearm, is the best out of all of them. It's pretty good as a kind of like EM thing. Like if you want to put it on Toma or Xiangling or Raiden, it's a pretty good, decent amount of EM, especially for like Toma and Xiangling because its substat gives you bonus damage based off of the enemies affected by Pyro or Hydro, I believe. But yeah, all the other weapons like Alley Flash, yeah, these aren't that great. But now that we've had that done, let's take a look and actually try out Dehya. I'll speak to it as the very beginning. I have seen, and there has been a lot of discussion about Dehya and her leaks being really bad. So whatever set, she's 56 154 with 1400 attack, 38,000 HP. Okay, give her a best in slot weapon. Okay, makes sense. Huh. Okay, so that might explain why she is not doing too much damage. They gave her a 5-piece medal, and they're at 888. So why don't we go through and actually look through her talents? Normal attacks, there's nothing special here. Her multipliers are kind of low. I know they're lower than Deluxe, who's the other 5-star Pyro Claymore that is also in Standard Banner, or she's not in Standard Banner yet, but she will be come 3.6. But her skill, so here's the thing about Dehya, is her multipliers are pretty shit. I'm not gonna lie. Um, they're not very great. She scales more off of attack. She has some bonus HP, so if you get some HP like substats on your things, they're not completely useless. But the HP on her set isn't really worth it. And I want to say that first and foremost, if you're going to build Dehya as like a main DPS, do not build her for HP. Build her for attack. If you get any HP substats on your rolls, which pretty much all artifacts, unless you're like godly lucky normally, they usually have some HP on it. So she'll get a little extra attack for that. So it's not a huge worry. But let's look at her skill. What does it say? The Indomitable Flame, the skill will be unleashed should there be no fiery sanctum field created by Dehya herself present at the time, deals AoE pyro damage. Essentially, when we went in and played her, when you press her skill, she punches the ground, creates a field, and it works if you're familiar with Albedo. As soon as you do damage, it procs and deals a coordinated strike. I believe it can happen, does not say it in here. It doesn't say it in here. Yes, it says it will be triggered every 2.5 seconds. And essentially, the only other part of her skill is if you use her skill again while her skill is already out on the field, it triggers this other type of damage. As you can see, the first time you press your E, you do an Indomitable Flame damage. You putting it down triggers everything. If you use it again while your field is still up, it'll do Raging Flame damage, which is just a different multiplier. That's essentially how your skill works, all this reading aside. So let's go to her burst. Essentially, you kind of see it. She basically just starts punching the hell out of shit. And something that it does say in here, what you can do is if you press the normal attack button as you are punching, it will increase. I found it that like, and for what I've seen, you can just kind of spam the normal attack button, and it will increase the speed of the punches. Now that being said, these do not count as normal attack damage because otherwise it will say it within her skill. It does not count as normal attack damage. So her burst, the kind of animation for it automatically goes, and you can trigger the normal attack button to make it go faster, but it does not count. So she does not work with characters whose skills are coordinated with normal attacks like Yelan, like Xingqiu, like Fischl C6, like Beidou. Anyone who requires you to do normal attack damage and normal attack animation does not work. So let's look at her talents. Or not her talents, but her ascension. So essentially, after she retrieves her skill, she will take 60% less damage. Like if you're in her burst, retrieve the skill, takes less damage. Then also, it will trigger Red Mane's Blood, which essentially when someone takes damage in the party or her, it's going to be mitigated by a certain percent. We can actually see the mitigation effect in her skill, which is at 46%. So you'll take 46%. Dehya will take 46% of the damage that the person inflicted, and then instead will go to her, and it will cycle over time. So say you took 1,000 points of damage, the 1,000 is mitigated. Let's round it up to 50 just for simplicity's sake. Also, I think at level 10 it does 50% anyway. So say you take 1,000 points of damage, like in the party, Bennett took 1,000 points of damage. Dehya will take 500 of that, and then of that 500 that she took, she will take that damage over 10 seconds. So she will take essentially 50 damage per second over 10 seconds. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but just for simplicity's sake, that's just kind of how it works. The other person will still take 50% of the damage, so Bennett will still take 500 if he was hit, and Dehya will also take 500 just very slowly. So that's essentially what this kind of means. It's kind of confusing, and I had to read it quite a lot to get it, but But also, when she re-puts down her field, everyone that is in the field that's her party gains basically better resistance to interruption. Her second passive is when her HP is less than 40%, Dehya will recover 20% of her max HP and then restore 6% of her max HP every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. Someone hit Bennett. Okay, for 602. And you can see she's taking 51 damage because it's only 46%, so she's going to take 51 damage. It seems like it's 51 damage per second for... Okay, that's pretty cool. I will say she has really cool animations for her attacks.
This moment will be frozen.
So something that you can tell is Dehya does not, at least with this set, she does not do much damage. That's something I know. She doesn't do much damage. It's very cool, and it feels very nice to use. But at least through this trial run, she doesn't do much damage. So Dehya was doing about 7,000 per strike in a Bennett alt, doing vape and melt damage, and it was 7,000 per strike. And that's about 10 strikes, so that's 70k, which isn't the worst, but it's not that great of damage, if I'm honest. So it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see it. Dehya is, she seems pretty underwhelming, both in like a general sense and a meta sense. She seems kind of underwhelming, and she doesn't really have an artifact set that really works for her. Millith, fine for a support one, that's great. but I just don't think that her support capabilities really matches. Like you put Bennett on a team with her, why would you use her over Bennett unless you just really like her? So it's kind of disappointing. I will claim my Primo gems though, so it's kind of disappointing that I was really hoping, because I looked and heard about all the leaks, I was really hoping that when it came down to the actual gameplay of it, that she would do more than people were thinking and theorizing, and it's just not the case. She does it pretty much exactly what people were saying she was going to do, which isn't that much. Um, and so, yeah, it's just kind of in this weird spot. She's kind of in this weird spot where she's not that great. There's not ever really a real reason to pull for her unless you like her. So that's kind of my final thoughts. Um, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little preview over what is now here in 3.5. If you liked it or found it informative or want to tell me something I said that's wrong, please feel free to tell me in the comments, but please do so respectfully. I am a very sensitive being. But anyway, if you enjoy my content and you have enjoyed my content, feel free to subscribe and have a good rest of your evening.